Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I want to talk about something I never thought I'd do again: ordering a big slalom board. Yes, after downsizing over the past few years, I finally pulled the trigger on a big slalom board again, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly why. So this is the 132 Dark Horse, the big slalom board by Futurefly. And when I started windsurfing, and probably for the first 5 to 8 years, these kind of boards were my most used slalom boards. And I was probably on the lakes like 70–80% of the time on this size of boards. In recent years, however, with the adoption of foiling, I kind of decided to cut out this size of board and make room in my car, and also my budget, to be honest. And yeah, cut out this board and just go with the foiling equipment in these sort of conditions. However, lately I was realizing that I was missing the feeling of riding on these big slalom boards more and more, and it's something that foiling just couldn't give me. So today I'm here at one of our lakes in Leipzig, and we have a pretty good forecast, even though it's 2 degrees cold and there's still some snow there. And I'm about to head out on the water. But first I want to talk about the problem that I have with foiling. And first up, I do like foiling. It's amazing in its own right, but it does give a completely different feeling to the fin gear. When I'm thinking about some of the sessions that I've had this summer, foiling gave me the opportunity to spend a lot more time on the water, because in these kind of low wind conditions it was impossible to have fun with a big board, or at least you would be standing around a lot of the time. That being said, my main passion in windsurfing, and the thing that I really love, is fin windsurfing. And here's the thing: doing like 50–60% of my sessions on the foil, which I probably did this year, gives me a lot less time to train for the fin, because the two things are just so vastly different that when you train on the foil, it trains only for the foil. Yeah, of course you get a little bit stronger in fitness and all this stuff, but like the feeling is not comparable to the fin. So when you're on the foil, you're training only for this. And so the feeling I have is that then when I go back on fin, and I've been on foil only for a couple of weeks, that I'm losing a bit the feeling for the fin, and I don't like this. And since I love slalom and especially speed surfing, training even on the big board is training the same movement patterns, and it's basically the same thing like training on the smaller slalom boards or even on the speed boards. So for me especially, I think there's a big benefit in training on the big slalom boards. So we're about to head out on the lake here for a few runs in 2 degrees on the big board again. So why go bigger? Simply, you have more range. And the thing is, I've been using the medium boards and they are fun, but here on the lakes the wind is most of the times very gusty. So with the big board I have the biggest range, meaning that even through the lulls I can keep planing. And for me the big board is actually even amazing in stronger winds, up to like 30 knots. So for me these boards are really what is the most fun to use here on the lakes, because you have so much planing time, and the high-end stuff in the high wind is still amazing on these 85 boards. I think the big boards made a huge progression over the last 15 years in windsurfing, probably more than any of the other board classes out there, aside from foiling, of course. And guess what? The big board is still amazingly fast. The other day I hit 35.3 knots on the big board, and this was faster than anything I've done on the medium board. Because I believe on these lakes there's like a certain kind of chop where I kind of figured out that the big board is not slower than the medium board. I can probably go on the lakes just as fast on the big slalom board compared to the medium slalom board. And this feeling that I love so much on the fin is very present on the big boards. Because what I love on the fin is when you like really push on the fin and then the board starts lifting, and this feeling when the gear is just riding so freely over the water, you have this sensation quite easily on the big board, because it's quite easy to rail them with the big soft fins and the big sails. So just getting this feeling is super easy on the big boards, and I was missing that honestly by going only in these conditions on the foil. Because in the beginning, when I decided to not go for big slalom boards anymore, I thought that, okay, it's an overlap. When I'm using the big slalom board, it's the same conditions where I would use the foil in. And in some cases that's true, but in others, when the wind is quite consistent, let's take this lake for example, you have like basically two hills on either side, so the wind is coming in quite consistent and strong here. So I could go foiling, but with a big board I can also go and be planing, let's say 90 to 95% of the time. If I only have a medium board and I want to train on fin, I'm probably only like going maybe 60–70% of the time. So I prefer to take the medium board in this condition. So for me, there's a huge benefit in going on the big slalom board. Now, does this mean that everyone should order a big slalom board again and get out on the big fin gear? No, of course not. I explained why for me it's a big advantage to have the big slalom board again. So I think the question you have to ask yourself first and foremost, do you enjoy foiling or fin more? And what do you want to train for? What do you have more fun doing? If it's foiling, yeah, you don't need a big slalom board. Maybe then you go on the foil and only when it's really windy you enjoy the fin. Of course, go only with a smaller fin gear and go foiling in the lower winds. But if the sensation of riding on the fin for you is the most amazing thing, I think you're missing out by not going on the big gear, because the training it gives you and the feeling it gives you is not comparable to anything else. So I think from this perspective, the big slalom board has kind of unfairly lost out over the last couple years because of the addition of foiling. So if you're struggling to plane in lighter winds, you want more time on the water, on the fin, you want to ride in gusty conditions like here on the lakes, and you love the feeling of riding fin gear freely, I highly recommend to give the big slalom boards another shot. So yeah, after all these years I'm ordering a big slalom board, especially the 132-liter Dark Horse by Futurefly again. I've tried this board now for 3 sessions. This board I have right here is actually not mine, but one I borrowed, and it will actually be for sale. Hit me up if you're looking for a big slalom board, because this board will be soon for sale. And I'm actually getting much more involved with Futurefly now, aside from the stuff I do with 0.7, and it's super exciting. I'm doing this together with Mario, and I'm going to handle the distribution of the Futurefly boards, especially for the Netherlands and Germany. So I'm really excited to get involved. The new 2025 slalom boards are already in production and will be here in probably 2 to 2.5 months. So actually I decided that I open another email, so in case you guys have any questions for me, it doesn't have to be about buying gear, but if you have any questions, because I see a lot of you guys have some questions for me, and some people try to reach me over Instagram, some over Facebook, and it's hard to keep track of all this. So I decided to do a new mail, and if you have any questions, I will always link it below in the videos. You can just write to me, and then I have it all structured in one email and can try to help you guys with your questions. Thanks for watching. Thanks also to my sponsors, my Patreons, for making videos like this possible. I hope you found it informative. If you did, subscribe, like the video, and I will see you hopefully somewhere warmer next time. Bye.